Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving deep into how artificial intelligence is about to completely flip the world of e-commerce on its head. By 2025, AI isn't just going to be a nice-to-have feature, it's going to be the absolute core engine of how we shop online. So let's walk through a real practical playbook to make sure you're ready to actually use that power, not just sit on the sidelines and watch it happen. Okay, I want to start with just one number that should really make you sit up and listen. 166%. What in the world could that possibly be? Well, that is the average revenue boost per user that retailers are seeing when they go all in on deep, AI-driven personalization. We're not talking about just putting someone's first name in an email. We're talking about predictive offers that know what you want before you do. This isn't some tiny little bump. It's a total game changer, and it proves this is all about real, measurable money, not just tech hype.
So to figure out how we can capture some of that growth, we first need to get a really clear picture of where all this is headed. So let's take a little glimpse into the AI-powered shopping world of 2025.
The money trail really tells the story here. Look at this. The AI e-commerce market is already valued at over $7 billion right now in 2024. But it's projected to absolutely explode to over $64 billion by 2034. That's not a slow and steady trend, folks. That's an exponential rocket ship, and that's the fuel behind the huge changes we're about to see.
So what does this AI future actually feel like for a customer? Well, it really boils down to 4 key shifts. First, you've got hyper-personalized journeys that literally adapt to you in real time. Second, these seamless omni-channel experiences, where the line between your phone, your laptop, and a physical store just vanishes. Third, you've got integrated voice and visual search, so you can find a product just by saying it out loud or snapping a picture. And finally, the boom in social commerce, which is turning your social feeds into these dynamic, shoppable storefronts.
At the end of the day, the big idea is to create a shopping experience that feels totally cohesive, totally personal, and super convenient, no matter how or where a customer decides to interact with your brand. It's all about being there and being relevant at every single touchpoint.
This future is incredibly exciting, right? And it's not some far-off dream, but it brings up a really critical question for every single business leader out there. The technology is ready, but is your organization? Right? So, before you can jump in and start implementing any of this cool stuff, you have to be brutally honest about where you are right now. It is time for a critical self-assessment to figure out if you're actually AI ready.
Salesforce has this great AI readiness framework that boils it all down to 3 main pillars. First up, the foundational pillar. Do you have a clear strategy and, most importantly, good data? Because without that, you're not going anywhere. Second is operational. Can you actually build and deploy AI models? If not, that strategy is just a piece of paper. And third, transformational. Can you scale what you're doing and actually prove its value? Because without that, your cool little pilot project is never going to grow up. Answering these questions honestly is step 1.
And this quote from Rashid Kataria, it just gets to the absolute non-negotiable heart of the matter. If your data is scattered across 10 different systems, your AI ambitions are basically dead on arrival. You must have a single central view of everything. It's the fuel for the entire engine.
Okay, so you've done some soul searching, you understand the data challenge, so what's next? Here's a simple 3-step playbook to turn all that insight into real action.
Step 1, and this should come as absolutely no surprise, is to unify your data. This directly attacks the biggest hurdle we just talked about. You have got to wrestle this beast to the ground before you do anything else.
And the way to start is with a good old-fashioned data audit. Now, this doesn't have to be some terrifying, complex thing. Just follow this checklist. First, figure out where all your data lives. Your CRM, your ERP, all of it. Second, catalog what kinds of data you have. Third, take an honest look at its quality. And finally, map out how it all flows through your company. Trust me, this process alone will give you incredible clarity. All right, once you've got a better handle on your data, it's time for step 2, build your strategy. And this part is so crucial, you have to start small. The goal is not to revolutionize your entire company in a week. It's to pick one specific high-impact area and get a quick win on the board.
As Kate Jensen over at Anthropic says, don't try to boil the ocean. Just pick a pilot project where the problem is clear and you know exactly what success looks like. Maybe it's a simple AI chatbot for your customer service team, or a tool to help personalize sales emails. Getting a small, successful pilot off the ground is what builds the momentum you need for everything that comes next.
And that brings us to the third and final step of our playbook,
actually measuring the impact. Because let's be real, if you can't measure it, you can't prove its value. And if you can't prove its value, you'll never get the resources to build on your success.
But here's the rub. Trying to slap a traditional ROI calculation onto a totally new, transformative technology like AI, well, it often just doesn't work. As the experts at Anthropic have found, the impact is way broader and more complex than a single spreadsheet number can ever capture.
So, the solution is to embrace what some people call imperfect but useful metrics. Don't wait around for the perfect measurement system to fall out of the sky. Just start tracking things you can quantify right now. How many tasks did we automate this week? How many hours did that save our teams? How much faster are we solving customer problems? These metrics show immediate value, and they create a baseline you can build on later.
Ultimately, as we're all hurtling towards 2025, the whole conversation has changed. It's really no longer a question of if your business will use AI, it's how and when. The future is coming at us fast, and the opportunity here is just immense. So the only real question left for you is, what's your first step going to be?